Hello and good morning. Welcome everyone from the Evenbreak team. We're absolutely delighted that you can all join us today for this new webinar series. My name is Rosa Breen and I'm a creative career coach. I've lived experience of ADHD and dyslexia. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our team. So we'll begin with Toby S. Toby, welcome.
Hello.
Toby is our director, producer, executive producer. Toby keeps me on the straight and narrow. He's absolutely fantastic. Toby, who else do we have here today?
So we have Jenny, the BSL, the lovely Jenny, and we also have Andrew, who does the writing for the captions. So great team.
Fantastic. So welcome to our two guests. Okay, so today's webinar is going to be all about why and how you're a premium candidate. It's part of a series that's on our Hive service. Our Hive is a 24/7 online career resource stacked full of tips and articles. And that's all co-produced and designed by Amy, Caroline, Tammy and myself, the career coaches here at Evenbreak.
Can I just interrupt, Rosa? You're going really, really fast.
No problem, that's okay, I'll slow down. I will slow down. Thank you. Is that better, Jenny?
Yeah, just be mindful when you're saying names of people that it's just too fast. I need to be able to spell the names.
Thank
I
you.
can to the audience. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So that was Amy, Caroline, and Tammy and myself. We all work collectively together to produce and design content for the Hive. If you haven't checked out the Hive, please do, because it's got some excellent information to help you on your job search journey. So before we get started, just a couple of things. This webinar is going to run for 40 minutes. 30 minutes is going to be interactive and about 10 minutes we're going to do for Q&A. Now we will open the chat box and we're also going to unmute today as well. So if you want to share your stories and engage, please use the little hand emoji that you will see at the top of your screen. I just wanted to check before we started as well. Can everyone see the captions? Yeah? Okay, great. So last thing is that this webinar will be recorded for the Hive. It's just that we want to make sure it's accessible for everyone, but your face will be recorded. So I just wanted to assure you of that. So what we want to do is we will get started. So Toby, if we can just go with the next slide. Okay, so today what we're going to cover is 3 simple learning outcomes. We're going to focus on how your disability helps you to utilize your strengths, your talents, and your amazing skills. We know you've all got them, right? So how do we share and communicate that with employers? So we're also going to look at that today. It's really important that we also share and learn from each other. So I would love to hear your stories today. It helps us to engage with each other. And as I've said, we can all learn from each other. Okay, Toby, so next slide. Okay, so let's start. I think, Toby, you're going to unmute now. I thought we could start off with a story sharing activity. What makes you a premium candidate? Does anyone want to share with Evenbreak today what makes them a premium candidate? So here's a good starting point. I am a premium candidate because. Anybody want to share? You can either just type it in the chat box or Toby's going to unmute now. So if you want to, you just raise your hand and then Toby will let you in and you can share with us what makes you a premium candidate. Toby, do you want to let's get started because we'll ask you first. Can you tell me what makes you a premium candidate?
This is a good question, Rosa. I think as someone who has a physical disability, I always have to do quite a lot of planning, especially when I'm going out, like the cinema or going into town or seeing friends. So I always got to, constantly plan because me and Stairs aren't exactly great friends. So I always have to plan, suss out, locations And I think that's a really good skill to have. And I think that's something that employers really are looking for. People who can plan, people who are very good at it. I live in the world which isn't exactly accessible for me. So planning, to be agile, to be quite determined, all of these skills, just to do the basics things, I think are really good skills to really have. And I think these are what employers are really looking at the moment, aren't they? What about you, Basil?
Well, Toby, you've got more than that, because you are amazing on your digital skills. You came to Evenbreak and you just took it by storm. You are our executive producer, director. You are just the Zoom whiz kid. So, my life's in your hands at the moment, and I feel very safe with you.
Yes. What about you, Rosa? What do you think you being a premium candidate is?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I think for me, it's really obvious. It's my creativity skills. I love using my creativity in whichever form that I can, and I'm a big problem solver. So I like to think outside the box, and I often think I'm a big picture thinker. So that means I've kind of got, sometimes I feel I've got this aerial or sort of 3D view, and it means that I can come up with ideas really, really, really easily. And I think of different ways of doing things. So I might be able to foresee a problem that needs to be fixed. So I'm also a big storyteller, and I often use storytelling as a way for me to help my memory. So I use storytelling as a way to remember, and often I'll use my creative skills. Sometimes I can be very challenged with processes, so it enables me to understand a process sequence. So I feel that my creativity makes me a premium candidate because of my challenges. How about everyone else? Does anyone else want to add to the chat what makes them a premium candidate?
We got a few premium questions in the chat. So one person has said, I'm a premium candidate because nobody else has the same skills, experience, and story as me, which is great.
There's why not? Let's hear more of your story. That's what today's all about. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else?
Somebody else says, because I think differently and I'm creative, which is great.
So great minds think alike there.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Okay. And we've got one more comment too, Rosa. I agree with Toby's statements like planning and planning journeys and agile.
Agility. It's absolutely fantastic. Here's a little challenge. If you're not comfortable sharing what makes you a premium candidate right now, feel free to drop us a line or email us if you want to. Let us know what makes you a premium candidate.
We had somebody who's raising their hand, which maybe means that they're wanting to talk about what makes them a premium candidate.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
Hello, can you hear us? In a second. Ooh, looks like they're on. Let me just ask to unmute.
Okay. So I'm a premium candidate because, are they able to come in and have a chat?
I think they may be struggling with unmuting themselves, but there is a feature at the bottom of the bar which you can unmute. There you go. No.
Why don't we might come back to that a little bit later.
Definitely.
I do ask this question again in about slide 7 or 8, so we can come back to that. Is
Sorry
that okay? That's okay. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so disability doesn't have to spell the end of your career, right? Or prevent you from embarking on a new one. In fact, we at Evenbreak here, we think it's the opposite. Most employers and the world at large, they don't know that diversity often brings extra or additional skills, talents, and strengths. So guess what? It's our job to show and tell them, right? So what I wanted to do here was to show you that employing people with disability is actually great for business. We are excellent for business. Here is a really interesting stat or figure. This is evidence provided by the think tank Reform, but also it was in the House of Commons briefing paper. just as recently as 2020. And here's what it said, that a 5% increase in the employment rate of disabled people in employment would grow our GDP by 23 billion by 2030. And guess what? It would add 6 billion in tax revenue. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going, wow. So we can contribute and bring lots of economic benefits. And why is that? Well, here's some factors. Employers are telling us that often when they hire people with disabilities, there's less turnover, less absenteeism, so we don't take as many sickies. There's higher productivity. So as a result of that, we widen the profit margins by reducing turnover. So we really are good for business, right? What are your thoughts on that? Those are pretty substantive figures. But guess what? We know that we also offer unique perspectives, experience, and talent. Next slide, Toby.
Have I clicked on slides?
Can we get to the next slide?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No problem. So why are you a premium candidate? So not only do we have to change the narrative with regards to the world of work in relation to disability, so we've got to show and tell employers what we can deliver. But sometimes that might also mean that we also have to change our own narrative. So we're just as gifted, skilled, and as qualified as non-disabled candidates. In fact, at Evenbreak, we would argue even more so. So why is that? Well, we all have developed additional qualities in a world not designed for us, right? We've all had to learn to navigate our way despite all the challenges, the barriers, and the obstacles. We always find innovative and creative ways of working. And we've had to work really hard to overcome challenges that others can't fathom. So at first, it's like business as usual. But the thing is that employers don't know your strengths. So it's your job to identify what your unique strengths and talents are and tell them. Next slide, Toby. So why are you a premium candidate? What unique strengths and talents do you have? I know we asked that question earlier, but if anyone wants to come in again and you want to share what your strengths and talents are, Toby, I'm happy for you to unmute. And if anyone just wants to raise their hand, please feel free to do so. But here's just a couple of examples, right? Problem-solving skills. And actually, a lot of these skills that we have, you know, because of how we manage our disability, are often skills and strengths that employers need anyway. So for example, problem-solving skills. How have you found ways around obstacles? So how did you manage that? Because, you know, you are solving a problem. Creativity. So what creative skills have you used? How innovative have you had to be to overcome barriers? Have you been a project manager? When have you managed unforeseen challenges? How did you do that? What results did you get? We're all very resilient, empathetic, and we have determination and a thing called grit, because we just have had to, right? But we've also supported others because we understand the barriers and the obstacles that we face. So we can often be not just resilient and empathetic, but also very understanding and mindful towards others. But there's another one here called emotional intelligence. You know, disability is only one of many parts that make up who you and I are. So we don't need to portray it in a negative way. We simply know that it's a fact of life. So does anybody want to come in and share with us at this point whether any of these strengths that we've outlined here, you know, rings a bell or speaks to you? Feel free to, you know, come in on the chat also and share with us. Toby, is anything coming up?
Quite a few, actually. I think still, like, what makes me as a premium candidate. I'm a premium candidate with versatile skills, I work with young people with learning needs. They are all premium candidates because they all have a unique point of view and are committed, amazing skill sets too, and dedicated.
Fantastic. What a wonderful job you have enabling and helping, supporting these young students. Absolutely fantastic. And you can already see their unique skills and strengths. So that's brilliant. Okay, so we know problem solving skills, creativity, project management, and all of those fabulous qualities, resilience, empathy, determination, and I'm sure we've got lots more. So Toby, let's go to the next slide. So what we wanted to do here is just give you some support or strategies on how to identify your strengths if you're a little stuck or blocked or not sure. So a good starting point is often just to take a little bit of time out and reflect on the strengths that you've developed by managing your disability. Explore how your disability has contributed to your life and work. You could just do a little brainstorm to get some ideas going. Again, if you're not sure, you can reach out to the career coaches here at Evenbreak, because that's their job, is to help you identify and be able to communicate your unique talents and strengths to employers. Here's a great question. How has your lived experience made you who you are? So your lived experiences of disability. Understand that, it can help you present yourself more confidently. And as a result of that, you'll be able to market and communicate and present your disability positively to an employer or a recruiter if you want to, because obviously everyone's different. You don't have to discuss or disclose your disability. But what we're trying to do here today is just give you a sense of how you can, turn your disability into a real positive, because we do all have strengths and talents, not in spite of, but because of our disability. Toby, is there anything else coming up in the chat?
A little bit. Just so if everyone can actually see each other's comments, could you all select all panelists and attendees so everyone can read each other's comments? I think at the moment everyone's sending it to the panelists, so we can see it, but not many else can. So if you have a question and want to use the chat feature, just remember to select all panelists and attendees so we can all bounce off ideas.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks for that, Toby. Really appreciate it. Shall we move on?
Of course.
Okay, so here's a quick activity that you can consider. You want to choose the strengths of the talents that match the job description, okay? That's relevant to the job that you're applying for. For each of these strengths, you want to provide examples. Now, we do have a fabulous article on the Hive. It's a tool that you can use. It's called POWER. It's a formula. It stands for Problem, Action, Result. It's a really great system to allow you to structure how you might want to provide an example of a strength. So problem, what was the problem or the challenge you overcame? What was the role that you played or the action that you took? And as a result of that, what did you achieve? I would highly recommend that you spend about 80% of your time when you're writing up an example of your strength on the action and result section. Okay, because that's the whole area that you're being able to demonstrate, your strength or your talent. So aim to have one strength related to your disability. This will be your ACE card. You can use this in your interview. Once you've chosen your unique strengths, consider these two questions. How has this enabled you to excel and be at your best? And why would this be an asset to the organization? So, if anything, always remember to make sure that your strengths and your talents match that job description. So, it's really important to read your job description and understand what it is that the employer is looking for. But you may already have those talents and skills, as we mentioned earlier, because of the way in which you manage your disability. And it's your choice if you want to bring that up in your job search journey. So, for example, at the interview. So this is just one example. Toby, let's move on to the next and see if there are any other activities. Okay, so why not craft a paragraph? Because of my disability, I have. So I'm going to challenge you all again to think about this. After this webinar, why not sit down and craft for about 10 or 15 minutes a paragraph? Because of my disability I have. Send it to us, email, share it with us. We do have drop-ins, so if you want to come along to a drop-in and you want to share that with us, please do. You can ask family, friends, and colleagues to highlight what your biggest strength or strengths are. Don't forget to ask for an example. I'd just like to share with you something that I did. I actually sent a stamped addressed envelope to some of my peers and I asked them, can you help me? I'd like to understand what my biggest strength is. Can you share with me a time where you saw me being at my best and why? And about a week later, I got about 4 or 5 responses. And I didn't realize I had some of these qualities and strengths that my peers had highlighted in these beautiful little letters that they sent back to me. Now, I'm quite creative, so that's the way in which, I like to try and find out about what my strengths and talents are. You might be different, but it's a really good idea to reach out to the people who know you best. So family, friends, and colleagues, and simply ask. But make sure they give you an example that you can use across your CV or potentially in an interview. Here's a good one. Consider what you can do on a daily basis that non-disabled friends can't do. I bet you could write an essay on that, right? Anybody want to comment on that one? So what do you do on a daily basis that your non-disabled friends can't do? Think about all the barriers and the obstacles that you've had to overcome and the unique and innovative ways in which you've had to manage your disability. Craft success stories, but again, make sure it meets that position job description. So you want to make sure that it's relevant for the opportunity that you're applying to. Okay, Toby, let's go on to the next slide. So what I wanted to do here was just provide you with a practical or tangible example. Because of my disability, and I'll read this out, I have made a difference and impact. Working for a global organization has given me a platform to promote disability awareness on a larger scale. Through their support and my determination, I have raised awareness and thousands of pounds for charity. This has also built my confidence, and as a result, I have become a disability advocate. What are your thoughts on that one? So this is simply an individual sharing their success story. And what they've done is they have demonstrated and used their disability in a positive way to share with an employer. So they're also sharing what their value is, how they've made an impact, what it means, what that value means for this organization that they're working for. And it's also provided a platform to educate others about disability. And you can see that they're sharing lots of their skills. So determination, ability to raise money, ability to educate, present, talk to people and reach out. But through this, they're continuing to build their confidence. So this is just one way in which you can, identify and highlight what your unique strengths and talents are. Toby, I'm going to come back to you again and see, is there anything else interesting coming up in the chat? What's everyone saying now?
Still really interesting chats. Loads of people are talking about it. So one person, I have many new and old qualifications to offer an employer and caring qualities, very important. Another person has added, in terms of creativity and problem solving skills, I do this every day in terms of getting around my house and performing day-to-day activities. You really have to think outside the box when you have a disability, but want to maintain your independence. Fantastic.
I love that. That's absolutely amazing. I'm also seeing here somebody talk about the social model of disability. And it's saying, would it make sense to say the difference instead of disability and view disability as a context or an environment? That's absolutely fine because, we all have and view our conditions and impairments in our disability in different ways. And I think it's really important for you to be able to have a conversation on it that makes you feel comfortable. You know, you don't have to talk to your disability if you don't want to. You don't have to disclose or discuss with an employer. And obviously everyone's different, and it comes down to, whether you want to disclose or not. What we're trying to do here today is to show you, if you do want to, we want to talk about the strengths and the talents that we've gained, not in spite of, but because of our challenges or our disabilities. So Toby, let's go to the next slide. So how do you communicate or market that you are a premium candidate to recruiters, employers? I'm just curious to know, well, how are you doing that at the moment? We all know that the job search journey, it can be an interesting one. It can be overwhelming, daunting, but it also can be an exciting time because you're embarking on this new journey as you're looking for a new opportunity. But you can communicate that you're a premium candidate right at the very start of your journey. And I'm talking here about when you're searching for jobs. So in your job search, you want to begin with a really positive frame of mind or a growth mindset. Focus on what you can do, not on what you can't. So as you're going through, the job ad or the job description, always focus on the positive. What can you do, or how would you do this job if you had the opportunity? Don't forget that if you want to, in your covering letter, you can discuss how you overcame a disability-related challenge, but you don't have to. So for some people, they might not be comfortable doing that in the covering letter. They might want to open that out in the interview. You might not want to do that at all, and that's absolutely fine. There's no obligation to do so. In the interview, own your own space with confidence and attitude. You could cultivate one strength to position yourself during the interview, and this could be your ace card, because this is what can make you stand out against all of that other competition. What about your online presence? Do you use LinkedIn? Is this something you feel comfortable using to share in your About Me story? Again, there's no obligation. It's not compulsory. You don't have to. But what we're doing is we're showing you here ways in which you can communicate or market yourself and your unique strengths to a recruiter or an employer at any point in your job search journey. Toby, let's go to the next slide. So here's just a few quick tips. You want to be strategic. Ensure that the strengths that you're sharing are relevant. I know I've probably said this about once or twice before, but it's really important because at the end of the day, you want to be able to show how you meet the job description and the job requirements and the person's specification. So you want to be really strategic and think about which strengths are relevant. Choose strengths that make you stand out. What is your unique selling point? What do you have that no other candidate has? Don't forget to be accurate and honest. So choose the strengths that you possess, not just because they're in the position description. Why not put yourself in the role of the interviewer? So you're the interviewer, you're wearing that hat. What would you like to know? What would put you off? What makes this candidate a good fit for this role? Leverage your disability as something that's different, that makes you stand out. Again, as I've mentioned earlier, it's not compulsory. If you don't feel comfortable with this, you don't have to do this. So your strengths don't have to be related to your disability, but if you are going to use it, make sure it's relevant to the skills that the employer is looking for in the position description. Toby, let's go to the next slide. So here's a big one. We need to tell the employer what you need. The slides that we were looking at earlier, I think it was that first or second slide, where employers might not feel confident in, knowing that access to work is available. They may be uncomfortable in having those conversations with you. So, really, it is our responsibility to help support our employers. And that means understanding what you need to thrive and be successful in the world of work. So here's some ideas. What accommodations do you need? Is it flexible working? Is it assistive tech? Is it adaptations to the workplace? Flexible work is an interesting one because due to the COVID pandemic, we're all now working from home, right? And this is something that, you know, we've probably been doing as people with disabilities. So it's been business as usual for us. You know, so if you feel that you want to, you know, just ask the question, because if you don't ask, you won't receive. Understand and know about how access to work can help you. So you can get grants from Access to Work to help you with assistive technology. Again, adaptations in the workplace, in your workplace. So don't assume that employers are, don't assume that employers don't want to help or support you. There's lots of employers who are really supportive and open. Just have a look on the Evenbreak job site. There's lots of jobs advertised where employers are highlighting and stating that they're more than happy to make reasonable adjustments. A lot of these employers are disability confident. That means they've signed up to that scheme where they are endeavouring to ensure that their recruitment processes, how they attract candidates and how they retain candidates is disability friendly. So if you want to, you know, help yourself and feel confident in any jobs that you're applying for, seek out those disability confident employers. And again, all of our employers that advertise on Evenbreak are disability confident. So if you don't ask, you won't receive, but it's really, really important to understand what is it that's going to make a difference for you? What's going to enable you to really thrive and be at your best in the workplace? Okay, so Toby, let's go to the next slide. Just quickly, I wanted to let you all know, in case you don't already, we have a 24/7 access to hundreds of career planning resources through our Hive. So it's an online site that is stacked full of articles and tools and information to help you be at your best. So we want to make sure that this is accessible and available to all. So feel free to pop along there at any time and take a look at all of our articles and resources. There's also a section where you can find targeted support services in your local area. So this is a great tool to use. Feel free if you want a more personalized and localized support. Why not go in and use that support service tab on the Hive? We also have lots of Meet the Employer events. So this is an opportunity for you to meet the employer and ask the questions. So at these events, what happens is that the employers will share their recruitment policies. They will often share jobs and opportunities that they have. But I think the key here is it allows you to engage with the employer and ask those questions. How are you, disability confident? How do you support disabled people in the workplace? So you can also reach out and ask for support from the career coaches at Evenbreak. So that's Amy, Tammy, Caroline, and myself. We do drop-in sessions, which take place on a Tuesday and a Friday. Tuesday morning, Toby, I think it's at 10 o'clock, is it to 12 on a Tuesday morning?
Tuesdays are 10 to 12 and Fridays 2 to 3.
So these are quick mini sessions. Grab a cuppa, come and join us. If you've got a question you want to ask or there's an application that you have, feel free to drop in and chat to us. And obviously we have these webinars. We have lots more webinars coming up over the next couple of weeks. So for example, if you're interested in setting up your own business, we're going to have a webinar on that. We'll also be having a webinar on making reasonable adjustments or accommodations. We'll also have somebody from Access to Work coming in to have a chat with us. So don't forget to register for all of our upcoming webinars. You'll find some fantastic information in there to help you. Toby, let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to ask you that question again. How confident are you about selling yourself as a premium candidate to a recruiter or an employer? Has any of the tips or the strategies or the tools that we've offered today, does it help you? Has it been helpful? And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to open up for a Q&A.
So shall I start asking them some questions? So one person has asked, what I really would find useful to know is how, with my difficulties, I can explain that I am still an asset.
Okay, so, well, if you've been watching and listening to the slides, we've tried to give a few tips on how you can do that. Craft that story. Start to brainstorm. Think about those times when, you know, you've actually had to overcome any obstacles or barriers. How did you do that? How, you know, what were those difficulties? Think of yourself as a hero of your own story, right? You're the hero. What was that problem or obstacle that you had to overcome? What were the steps or the action that you took? And how did you triumph? What was the result of that? Now, that's quite a creative way of working. If you find it challenging to be able to understand or identify, you know, your talents or strengths, feel free to reach out to any of the career coaches. You can go to the drop-in center if you like, or you can drop us a quick email. Just go to the Hive and there's a section that allows you to put in some details, and somebody will get in touch with you as soon as they can. So I hope that's been helpful. Toby, what's the next question?
Well, I'm flicking through the chat and the Q&A. Somebody has said, thank you for this information. We'll be using the resources. After attending this webinar, I am now 100% confident, which is great to hear.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for the feedback. We love that. Any other questions?
So there's a few questions on the Q&A asking if the slides will be available after the session, and they will be, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The slides will be available. Toby will send you out, can send you out a Word and or a PDF version if you like. But just know that this is being recorded, and this will also be on the Hive over the coming weeks. So if you want to go back, reflect, and to go through this again, there's no problem, because that will be available to you. But absolutely, there's no problem. We're happy to email this out. I think there's also going to be a poll or a feedback offered as well. Is that right, Toby?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
So somebody's asking clarification for drop-in times. So Tuesday 10 to 12 and Fridays 2 to 3. And they're all confidential, aren't they? So
absolutely. Private, confidential, and this is a free service at point of entry. So, you know, we want to make sure that this is accessible to everyone. We cover everything from identifying your strengths, supporting you with applications. We'll even do mock interviews. We can also offer CV reviews as well. If you are unsure as to, you know, where you want to be in the world of work, or you want to change your career, we can also support you understand or explore out, you know, future possibilities. So we sort of cover everything across a career journey. You know, again, if you need help with applications, etc., more than happy to help. So you've got the option, as Toby's mentioned, quick drop in, because for some people that's all they need, 15, 20 minutes, got one or two questions. And for other people, they might want to use the Hive because they're quite self-directed. And so you can go on there, and there are some excellent resources that we've produced to design and help you, you know, navigate your job search journey and be at your best. But if you feel that you want a one-to-one session, because you need that one-to-one interactivity, and you're stuck at the moment, you know, that's where Amy, Caroline, Tammy, and myself can come in. Caroline looks after executive. So if you're interested in being or getting into the executive space, Caroline can help you support you with that. Amy, myself, and Tammy, we all have very interesting backgrounds. I have a recruitment background. Tammy has come from a healthcare background, and Amy has come from a education background and also from a charity background as well. So, you know, we're here to help please reach out. We want you to be at your best. We want you to see that you are this amazing, incredible, talented, premium candidate.
We are running out of time, Rose, I'm sorry, but I think we should do one last question. And somebody has asked, how do you find a list of disability confident employers?
Fabulous question. I can tell you that it's on the Hive. If you refer to some of our articles, there's quite a lot of information there about disability confident employers. Also, on one of the government websites, there is a Excel spreadsheet that you can download, and it actually gives you a list of all of the employers. To date, I think there's about 20,000 employers that have signed up to the Disability Confidence Scheme. I have an Excel spreadsheet, so if anybody wants the latest copy, you're happy to email that across to you. But you can actually find it on, I think it's on the Work and Pensions, Department of Work and Pensions website. You can download it as an Excel spreadsheet or view it as a CSL file. One other thing I just wanted to share with you that I thought was interesting is that there's been over 39,000 people have been supported through the Access to Work program and grant from 2019 to 2020. So if it's something that you're not familiar with, please check that out. Again, we have lots of information on our website, or you can just simply Google it and it will take you directly to the Access to Work website. So I hope that's been helpful.
Well, I think, sadly, we have run out of time, haven't we, Rosa?
There's never enough time, Toby.
Exactly. But I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you, Rosa.
Likewise, and it's been really interactive today, and we hope that it's helped. And we look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar. Toby, thank you very much for your support, and obviously to our BSL and caption guests, I also wanted to thank you as well.
And thank you for all the attendees who joined. It's been really fun having you, and it's been great interacting with everyone.
Brilliant. Okay. See you next time. Bye.
And also with the survey right at the end, when you do click out of the webinar, it would be great to get your feedback. I always want to improve the webinars and also the tech. So it would be great just to fill out the survey. It will literally take seconds, and it will be such important information.
Great. Thank you, Toby.
Brilliant.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for everyone.
Bye.
Bye.